Good news for you. The White House has apparently been influential in helping to torpedo a tax deal that was going to bring together some Democrats and some Republicans in the Senate. But thanks to White House pressure, they've torpedoed it. And that's good because the deal seems like it has a lot of elements of it that we as liberals would not be in favor of. So good news when it comes to a big bipartisan deal like that.
Oh, great, man. So finally, there we go. Obama is standing with the liberals. And I'm sure that that's exactly why he did it, because he realizes now that there's, you know what, I must have been wrong. All those guys.
We don't give them credit.
That's my problem. The Obama bots, I mean, smart people who are not at all partisan but believe Barack Obama does everything 100% right, just coincidentally, right? After their thorough analysis and reasoning, just realize that Obama's always right and always playing third-dimensional chess that I've never even seen. Okay,
I've seen it.
Yeah, so I was wrong. You were right. In the last 2 years, that's when he unleashes it. Here he is with liberal House Democrats because he's always been a liberal, right, John?
You might have something there, but unfortunately, we also have something else. We have an anonymous senior Senate Democratic aide who said it might indicate, referring to helping to torpedo it, it might indicate less about the merits of the package and more about the White House using progressives to kill a deal now in order to pave the way for a deal with Republicans next Congress that progressives will absolutely loathe. And we have some somewhat vague details of what that plan might look like. Right now, what they were debating was a package of extensions of various tax cuts and tax benefits to last about a year, and we'll get to the details of those. But he's worried that if they were to do that, there would be less pressure. I'm speaking about Obama. There would be less pressure next year to do a comprehensive tax reform package, including, and this is the most important part, comprehensive corporate tax reform, which apparently is on Obama's to-do list for next year, and he wants to pave the way for that.
So let me decode this for you guys. Tax reform means tax cuts. No one's ever done tax reform in Washington in the last 20, 30 years, right? 40 years maybe. And then increase taxes, right? No, tax reform means I'm going to cut corporate taxes, okay? And so it turns out the leading theory, the one that I also happen to subscribe to, right? But I'm not alone here, it's the leading theory, is that President Obama isn't actually killing this deal because he's with liberals, as John explained. He's killing it because he wants a deal that cuts corporate taxes even more, and he thinks he is more likely to get that when the Republicans control the Senate. So he's actually screwing over moderates, Senate Democrats, who, by the way, are not great guys either. The deal they were going to strike with the Republicans aren't great. It's actually pretty bad.
Some apparent positives, but
obviously it's a deal. There's always some.
We're going to show the details of that,
but overall, it looks like what he's waiting for is a more Republican Senate, so that he could then doesn't need any liberals, and he could steamroll the liberals with a corporate tax reform that is more thorough.
Yeah. And the thing is, there are going to be so many Democrats who are like, "Oh, you don't understand."
Of course.
Once he's surrounded by bitter enemies, that's when he'll whip into action. Like when he had briefly the supermajority, he was just elected and everything. You don't want to move too fast and scare people off. Then when he no longer had the supermajority and then eventually lost Congress, well, he's got Obamacare. That's more than enough. Let's not ask for too much in just 4 years. Now, this guy who is supposed to bring hope and change is biding his time for more Republicans in the Senate and the House. That's fucking ridiculous. I wouldn't trust any plan he got with a supermajority of Democrats, let alone a plan that Mitch McConnell's going to be in favor of, a plan that Boehner's going to be in favor of.
Well, he had a supermajority. When he was doing Obamacare, he had a supermajority. I mean, he had 60 Democrats at one point.
They got some stuff done. They named post offices and stuff. That was great.
Yeah. But at that point, he didn't even push forward enough to get all of Obamacare done when they had the 60 senators. But even so, he never even asked for the public option. Like, the public option is not single payer. It's the middle ground, right? Well, you also have the private option and you have the public. He never even asked for it when he had every single thing he could possibly want. But that's what you're misinterpreting. When you say anything he could want, but he doesn't necessarily want a Democratic supermajority. He wants to be able to do tax reform so he can be called bipartisan, so that he can be patted on the back by all the Washington establishment. Look at this. With a Republican, a Senate and House, President Obama got a deal anyway. That's the sentence he's dying for. He can't wait for that sentence. But it misunderstands the whole thing. It's not like he got it done despite the Republicans. He got it done because of the Republicans, because they agree. They don't agree on everything. And of course, this issue is not just one spectrum or another. And it's not like the deal they would have would be 100% bad. There would be some tax credits in there that aren't so bad, right? And there's nuances to the deal, right? But overall, does President Obama want to cut corporate taxes more deeply? It certainly appears that way. Now, once again, as we do every time on the Young Turks, we tell you ahead of time. So then if we're wrong, you can come back and judge us and say, oh no, it turns out President Obama really was with the liberal Democrats in the House. And when they suggested deeper corporate tax cuts, and then when the Republicans boy, did he fight them tooth and nail. I can't wait for that day. Can't wait.
Yeah, I remember, was it a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, maybe even a little bit longer, when they were bandying around some of the numbers that he was looking at for the top corporate tax rate. And I remember how much they wanted to cut a couple of years ago. That was back when they had more Democrats in the Senate and the House. I'm incredibly worried that in the way that Washington operates right now, if they cut the top corporate tax rate by 3%, 4%, 5%, it will never go up again. And we've shown you the charts in the past few weeks. The tax burden on corporations as a percentage of the total tax burden in America is at basically all-time lows. And it's only going to get lower. Eventually, every single bit of the tax burden, every bomb we drop, every food stamp we give is going to be paid for by you and your family and people like you, and less and effectively none by major corporations. And that's a Democratic president who's bringing that future to you.
Yeah, they claim that they're going to cut loopholes and that it'll be revenue neutral, right? That's always what they've been claiming. That's a good
Revenue
one.
neutral.